thank you so much for coming to my kitchen. I'm Eve. Welcome. Today I'm going to make harissa tear and share bread. Let's get the oven set to 425. Let's get all the ingredients out and at room temperature and make sure my pizza dough is ready and we can get started. Okay, so tear and share bread is just reimagining pizza. And like anything else with a flatbread and yummy cheese, you can use a variety of different sauces in it. Sometimes I use pesto and it's super delicious. But for today, we're gonna use a wet harissa. Harissa is Moroccan and it comes as a dried powder. It's a combination like chili or curry or ras al hanout or za'atar. And today's one I purchased. It comes in mild and in spicy, kosher, and it is super easy and convenient. Today's recipe is all about simple things you can do. So we're gonna grab pizza dough I made, but you can get your own from the supermarket. I'd recommend the deli to pick up pizza if it's a supermarket that makes pizzas, or your local pizza shop. But here is my pizza dough. I've made a double batch. We'll punch it down, use half of it, and roll it out so that I have this whole rectangle of a cutting board filled with the pizza so that I can put all my toppings on it, roll it up, cut it into a cool design, throw it in the oven, and it's gonna come out like a wreath so that people can actually tear and share the breads that we're gonna make today. It's great for dinner, can be hot out of the oven or served room temperature, yummy with a salad. But it's also really good for those times when you're entertaining because you could put out several and have people enjoy both the display and the deliciousness. So let's get this onto the board and roll it out. Okay, so we're gonna put a little bit of flour on our board. Get that nice and rolled out, and also make sure that you flour your rolling pin. I have a couple different pins, but this one's super good for pizza dough because pizza dough's actually a pretty gentle dough. Doesn't need anything super heavy like a marble rolling pin. So grabbing my pizza dough, ooh, and an Eve secret surprise here. I'm not a huge fan of plastic, but if I'm going to use it so that, for example, my dough could rise for, it took about 90 minutes. When I'm in hotels and they have all of those shower caps, I make sure to grab them so that they're not made and then thrown away. Since they're already in my room, I grab them, and when I need them, that's what I use on the top of my bowls. The elastic makes it great to hold on. You can actually wash and reuse them many times, and it keeps my plastic use down. So just a trick. Anyway, grab half of the pizza dough if you've made your own, and if you've bought it in a store, it's gonna be ready in a already in a round piece like this. That's enough for one pizza. So grab that, give it some flour. See, it's nice and delicate when you make it yourself, but also easy to pick up. And that's gonna take over this entire space here on my cutting board. So roll it up, roll it out nice and gently. And for this one, I'm gonna want it to be the full rectangle because I'm gonna need to fill it and then cut it. So we're gonna roll it out here, and then I'm going to use wet toppings. You can put dry toppings too if you want. Sometimes I use sun-dried tomatoes or onions, whatever you think would be nice in a small individual serving when you cut it up. And you can also use a variety of cheeses, whatever you think is good and melty and you have in the house. For this one, I'm playing with a number of different flavors. I have some feta and some mozzarella and some Parmesan, and we'll just kind of play with the quantities till it looks great, but you could use a whole variety of cheeses as well. So let's see, we're just about rolled out here. Let's get it all the way to the edge, and I'll show you another trick about pizza, which is that I tuck it under the corners of my cutting board. And I do that so that as it gets a second to rest, it doesn't retract all the way up on the top. So let me finish that off and I'll show you that. Okay, look, here is a pizza dough on a cutting board. See, I can take the edges and just lay them underneath the four corners, nice and gently. We don't need to pull this and have very thin areas in any parts of it. So just nice and gently. And then when I lay it down, it'll hold under all of those. The next step is I'm gonna take the harissa here and put it on the crust. And so, where's the spoon? I don't have a spoon. Okay, we'll just use this. Again, this one's a mild. You can use much spicier ones. And what's great about harissa is that it is made out of peppers as opposed to tomatoes. So this is going to be a familiar look to a pizza, but it's actually going to taste quite different, which is always a nice fun surprise. Many years ago, I ran a pizza shop. I know that is very hard to believe about me, but true. It was called Bella Luna. It was in Hershey, and it was a pleasure. And we had a brick oven and did a lot of fire roasting. And so I've spent a lot of time around pizza, even though I was not the head cook. But it was a lot of fun to come up with lots of creations. So here is the harissa all spread out on top of my dough. And then on top of that, I'm going to put several cheeses. So let's start with this. This is feta. We're just going to put that right around here on top. Yum. Sometimes when people cook with a wet harissa like this, they really like using a goat's cheese. You might see lovely recipes with it because you want some creaminess against the spice if you're going to go pretty spicy. The one I've chosen today is mild, but you can kick this up quite a lot if you would like. All right, so I have some feta all over this here. So far, looks pretty good. Now I'm going to add more cheese. Oh, that was about half a cup. Here is closer to 1.5 cups of mozzarella, which you can buy grated or grate your own. Just so you know, if you're buying it already grated, super convenient, it's going to work perfectly in a recipe like this. But because it has a non-caking agent in it, it's not going to work so well in other kinds of recipes, depending on what you're using the cheese for. So like if you're making a sauce, I would not recommend getting one that's already pre-shred. But for this, it's kind of made for pizza. It's going to be perfect. And then I'm going to put a little bit of Parmesan on this as well. All right. Okay, it's starting to look delicious. Let's put this all over here. Good. Still looking kind of like pizza, right? You can see this? So now I'm going to take it and let go of the edges, and I'm going to roll it up. All right? See, let's just pick this up here. Release those edges here. And let it go. And because I'm not all the way to the outside edges, sometimes when I make this, I trim the edge. You can also try to get all the way to the seams, but let's first see how it goes. So now we're going to take this, and we could, for example, if this was a pesto one, we could put lots of basil in it, for example, to make it a fresh herb taste. But for this cerise one, let's just make a gentle edge over here so that when we roll it, it doesn't all come out onto our hands, and we can give it lots of rolls. You're just basically making a snake here. Very simple. And because we floured the cutting board good enough, it's all just rolling straight off and not sticking anywhere. Okay. Now you can see that it is a full snake with a seam on the bottom, right? This is gonna be amazing. Okay, I like making sure that it's all about the same width all the way through. So squeeze it to your heart's content. And then I'm gonna just pinch these two edges right here nice and tight. And I'm gonna use my kitchen shears and cut that edge off. Boop, boop. Don't throw it away. You can always do cool little garlic balls, knots, something sweet with pizza dough, so a lot of options. But now we have this nice shape. All right, then I'm going to oil it and put it into a pan. I'm also gonna put some olive oil in the pan. So check this out. Just put some right in here. You can use a cloth if you want to make sure that you get this oil everywhere because you really don't want your tear and share bread to stick. I'm gonna use my hands because I'm gonna use my hands to oil the tear and share bread as well. And I know some people use sprays to be able to spray their baking things so that nothing sticks. If that's your preference, that's fine. I just like using olive oil for this one because I want that taste in my tear and share bread. And the pizza dough that I make is not super oily. It's not been sitting in oil, for example. Now it will. It's gonna get a nice dose here of some oil on all of it. Great. All right, and this will help to ensure that it doesn't stick anywhere. And then I'm going to use a little bit here of an egg wash to seam that edge. It just helps keep it all attached. And when we're done, we can put a little bit of egg wash on the top of it to make it a beautiful color as well. All right, there we go. Now it's coming in the pan. I want to check to see how we've done in terms of size. So I'm grabbing it gently, but not having too much weight anywhere, and I'm gonna lay it inside my pan. You see that? So now it's inside here. Where there was the seam here, I'm not gonna worry about it too much yet, because I'm gonna use those kitchen shears again. I'm just gonna flip this right over and use this clean surface. I'm gonna use the kitchen shears again to cut into it, which makes it a little bit larger, and the two ends will connect just fine. So you see now how it is? Great. So now we take this, and I'm gonna cut, let me see if you can see this. I'm gonna cut about 3 of my fingers in length between each one of them, but not cutting all the way through. Can you see that where my thumb is holding back from where my shears are gonna cut? Now I'm gonna do that again. About 3 of my fingers in width and not all the way through to the end. We're gonna do that all the way around what I've just made. I'll show you that when I come back. Okay, can you see here? I have been cutting all the way around, and now I'm gonna take egg wash and just paint on the tops of all these surfaces so that some herbs and spices that I wanna put on top will stick better, and so this will brown up beautifully. Simple, easy. We're just making a funky stuffed looking pizza. All right. Now it's got egg wash all over it. Let's put some spices and herbs on it. Today I've grabbed some savory, some red pepper flakes, a little bit of parsley for color, and because I like a little bit of a health kick, I'm putting some flax, chia, and hemp seeds on top. So here we go. Let's just take some of this parsley and sprinkle it over the tops. I use lots of different things when I use the pestos or other kinds of sauces, and I'm sure you can come up with yummy sauces and herb combinations too. And here is a little bit, ooh, I have oily hands. Here is a little bit of red pepper flakes. Remember, I use mild harissa, so this won't be very spicy. And a little bit of savory, but I can imagine you also might use a different kind of herb, sage maybe? Might be nice on top here. Rosemary could be great with the cheeses. So many options. And a little bit here of some seeds. Oh, this is looking amazing. Okay, I'm so hungry for this. I'll show you what this looks like. Can you see now? All right, the next thing we're gonna do is take each one of these pieces and I'm gonna turn it slightly so that it is sitting up just a little, just on its side. Sometimes when I do this, I make half of it go one way and half of it go another way. Sometimes I do it all in the same direction. This is really up to you. But just a nice, easy twist, almost as if you're like putting them to bed. Twist them each down, making a pinwheel, making a sunflower. So see, it's now looking like this. I'm gonna stick this in the oven at 425 for about 18-22 minutes and check it, and I'll show you it when it's done. And here's the harissa tear and share bread fresh out of the oven. If we go into detail here, you can see where I made those cuts because the harissa is peeking through. And then the golden crust on top that was egg washed is still holding all of its herbs and spices and seeds. It's hard to gauge, but each individual section here is about 2.5–3 inches wide and very full and thick. So a yummy portion And you can see how many portions you have when you have an entire tear and share bread. It would be great to serve this with soups, salads, maybe crudité, and definitely a dessert or two. Especially if this is for Shavuot. People tend to think of cheesecake for Shavuot, and that's great. But there are so many other decadent, delicious dairy items you could have on the menu. And I hope you'll consider harissa tear and share bread as one of the options for your home. Thanks for cooking harissa tear and share bread with me today. If these are the kinds of videos you love, I hope you'll check out Pearlstone Online. Our instructors and educators have been making dozens and dozens now of videos for you. And if you like food half as much as I do, I hope you'll also go check out Pearlstone Kitchen. Our chefs are cooking meals that are being delivered in our communities and are fresh, farm to table, delicious and healthy. We're also providing those meals to some of the local hospitals with our Healthcare Heroes donation meals opportunity. If you feel like donating, check that out as well and help us feed the front line. Thank you. See you soon.